That is so true. Chris, thank you for the update there. Well, some upstate college students are calling for a tuition freeze. Many schools implemented one at the beginning of the pandemic.
That's right. We found out that some plans to do it again, but not all. Fox Carolina's Grace Runkel has more on what students are saying.
Inside Sykes Hall, budget talks are underway. Outside, the conversation continues.
We are making sure that they know that we have one unconditional goal, and that is to freeze tuition for next year.
Sophomore Gabe Cutter has taken his concerns to the Clemson University Board of Trustees. He says this sit-in is a chance for students to join in the talks.
This is something that students can see without being invited into that office.
Students say they have more on their plate and less in their wallet than ever before. Like junior Claire Taylor. She spent last semester at home.
I was a caretaker to my grandmother because we had to lay off a lot of her other caretakers because of actual, economic stress.
We're sitting in every day from 10 to 2.
A typical tuition increase here is about $1,000. Taylor says that's something she could budget for, but she says not everyone can. That's why a second freeze is crucial.
A lot of students, have lost their jobs, or they have lost financial supporters, or their family, has undergone economic hardship.
And for a student on the edge, $1,000 can go a long way.
17% of college students are homeless, and if you do the math for Clemson, that's about 3,000 students, and so $1,000 covers almost 3 months of rent.
Whether or not Clemson raises tuition depends on how much money they get from the state, but other public universities like South Carolina have already committed to a freeze. Cutter hopes Clemson is next.
All these people are very appreciative of the policy that administration took last year. Let's try to get them to do it again.
And we're going in depth on student loans for you this afternoon at 5. We found there are more than 44 million borrowers, in the U.S. And the country's outstanding balance expected to exceed $2 trillion by the end of next year. So we crunched the numbers. If all federal student loan borrowers got $10,000 of their debt forgiven, the debt would fall to around $1.3 trillion from $1.7. Meanwhile, 1/3 of those borrowers, or 14.4 million people, would see their balances reset to zero. On the other hand, canceling $50,000 would shrink the country's outstanding debt balance to $700 billion from $1.7 trillion. It would forgive all of the debt for about 80% of people who borrowed money.